This is Spelga Dam. Just above here is the source of the River Bann, and our plan is over the next 7 days really to follow the Bann as closely as we can down to the North Sea. Why we're doing it is, partially it's a type of adventure that I think people would like to go on, but it's also for ourselves. It has to do with the destruction of nature and knowing that next year that this will be more deprived.
Well, this is to draw attention to what's happening to our wetlands, waterways, not only Lough Neagh and Lough Beg, which is what I'm particularly interested in, the A6 going through the wetlands at Lough Beg, but it's to highlight the plight of all of our wetlands and waterways in Northern Ireland.
The journey is open to the public to come and canoe and walk alongside us. As well, we've opened up all of our evenings if people want to come along for a tea, coffee, just have a chat. If you've got any questions, we've got more than enough people to answer them.
We're going to have several stops along the way, so we're stopping for tea and lunch, and we have an itinerary which people can jump in, come along, chat to us, grab some pamphlets and whatnot, have some tea and lunch with us. Then if you want to walk a section of it, then you can also look at that. You can see the various sections we're walking. And we can try and accommodate to try and get everyone ferried around. Similarly with the canoes, if you want to do a little section, we have Canadian canoes which are 3-person, so we'll have a responsible person at the back, and then we can pop you in. But of course the community day is the main one, so on Saturday the 22nd, I believe it is, then that's up at Tombridge.
Over the course of the trip, so first of all we're going to be walking for the first 2 days, and then we're going to be canoeing for the last 5. We're going to be putting things into practice along the way, such as litter picking. We're going to be doing a lot of litter picking in the river, and then the idea is to hold the community day at Tombridge, and so we're going to have a procession going from Tombridge up to the cabin, which is just where the roadworks are happening on the A6, just to kind of get the community and everyone in the local area involved in that, to again shed light. And then we've got a number of different people coming to speak at the community day, just to talk about these things. So the idea is to invite all of these people along, just to raise awareness.
Lough Beg is a special protection area for a reason. It is a magnificent wetland. It is the richest freshwater wetland in the whole of Ireland for birds and for biodiversity in general. And it has so much, and it should be kept whole and intact, and it runs beautifully naturally into the wetlands at Tuam, the Tuam complex, which is where 500 Icelandic whooper swans come each winter, and it should be kept intact. And what the Department for Infrastructure has done has put a huge road right through the Tuam complex. And not only has it broken up the Tuam complex, but fragmented that area, but it has separated the Tuam complex from Lough Beg. So you'll get not only the fragmentation of the Tuam complex, but that greater wetland, which is Lough Beg and the Tuam complex, is now 2 separate places, divided by a road, and it just makes it weaker. It basically, instead of making things bigger and better and more joined up, this road leaves things degraded and diminished and divided.
Of course we need roads. We have to think about where we put them. Often the plan works along the lines of maximum profit. Make a plan, start actioning the plan, then tell the community that they have been consulted, even though they haven't, and keep repeating, this is for your good, this is for the betterment of the community, when clearly it isn't.
The light and the noise, these are major disturbances on wildlife, not just birds, but every aspect of biodiversity is impacted by noise and artificial light at night time, very close to where the swans roost, and the build-up of pollution, the nitrogen oxide, the ammonia that will drift from the cars, the use of brakes and the wearing of rubber. This will all drift onto the meadows, which are not only important for birds, but have fantastic colonies of rare orchids and some very rare insects. All of these things will be impacted.
We're heading down along the Upper Bann. One of the sort of points with any of the smaller rivers in this country is river pollution. So we saw a bad fish kill at Moyola. But sort of the centre of this, what we're focusing on, is the kind of the Toonbridge area, the Loch Beg area. There's just so much stuff there, from the collapse of the eel fisheries, the poisoning of the rivers, to the creation of cement, which can, the sand extraction is an issue. Cement accounts for 9% of our CO2 emissions. And we need to get away from these things. So that's like a little hotbed. I think it's really served to maybe hopefully wake people up. It's not one thing or another. It's many, many things. Of course, like gold mining, not very far away in the Sperrins. So by walking across the countryside, you're kind of forced to sort of live out the story of the countryside and actually see it. And the way the type of the world we live in now is very much in boxes. You're in your house watching a screen, you're in a car driving. We're not really given access to the outdoors in the form of footpaths or even, a culture that encourages these things. And that means that damage and environmental practices can persist in spite of the fact that people would probably wish that these things were done better, really. They don't have to necessarily be all stopped. Things can be just done a lot better.
As a society now, we've become very detached from nature. Everything is convenience and everything is easy. It's at our fingertips, and we've disconnected from where our connection to the land, where everything comes from, and it's easy to ignore if you're not actually seeing the damage that it is occurring. People aren't to blame. The society we live in isn't set up for the education isn't there and people aren't aware, but it's not their fault. If the government is the one orchestrating it, how are the people meant to think any differently? It's been sold as an opportunity, a progress. Dairy's been very deprived for many, many years, so people want this development, but they don't understand at what cost it's actually coming at. Which is really the future of our planet.
It's very important to bring that home to people, the whole thing of the climate emergency. We're at a stage where children are trying to get their parents to grow up, to take an adult approach to the danger that's facing us. So any way we can find to draw attention to that, to celebrate the system of life that we belong to. I think the only people who will object to that are those who put their own profits before any other consideration.
If you think of a rainforest and how ecologically important it is, and also with the climate crisis we're in at the minute, we're destroying a carbon sink that's irreplaceable. It's been built over thousands of years, and this is the homeland of many migratory birds, and it's not our right to take that away from them. It's all of our land. We have to be respectful.
Seamus Heaney was the first to be campaigning for the road to go through either on the existing road, which is what everybody thought for 40 years. That's why all the pylons go along the existing A6. It only needed to be widened. They call this an A6 upgrade. It's not an upgrade. It's a completely new road. And it's dividing communities. It's breaking up the beautiful areas like Anahorish, the Lagand Road, the Strand at Loch Beg, all these places that he wrote about. Indeed, the road comes out about 50 metres away from Mossbourne, where he was born, where he grew up. So it's the exact opposite to what we should be doing. We should be respecting Seamus Heaney, not by building the Seamus Heaney home place, but by protecting those places that he wrote about and for which he got the Nobel Prize.
The pandemic has made people aware of nature simply because they have stopped trying to be somewhere else. I'm a musician, I'm as bad as anyone else, I'm often travelling to be somewhere else. The pandemic has caused me to stop, look at the places very close to me, and wherever you go you meet people who appear to be discovering for the first time the real beauty of what is around them.
Beaches are seen as a natural environment, but they're a very artificial environment. The way that most people think about doing it. If you're going to go and walk along a beach for 50 miles, that's possibly, you get to appreciate the coastline, but if you're going to go down and sit in a patch of sand and then go back in your car and drive home, I wouldn't say it's a natural experience. And that's sort of one of the reasons why it's important to walk.
The idea of you cannot really buy or sell the beauty of nature, but you can share it with people, and you can have a very sustainable form of soft tourism. And it's very sad to hear, I suppose, decision makers, politicians speaking out of two sides of their mouth, in that they're supporting tourism, but at the same time destroying the very thing that makes this place an attractive country to visit. So to draw any attention, every step we take here from the source of the ban, we should be aware that behind our backs, literally as we go towards the sea, actions are happening which will change the river, and literally the river of life, for better or for worse. So it's really important to draw attention to the need for people to think about what they are doing, what we are doing to nature.
One of our biggest aims at present is to make ecocide law, and for it to be recognised that what is happening on the A6 is ecocide, and that it shouldn't be happening. A wider aim for the trip is to, again, bring the knowledge to the local people, just so that they're aware of the situation and that they can join force with us in standing up against it.
It's a strange thing that they even have to think about telling people not to saw off the branch that they're sitting on. That's what happens when you destroy the nature to which sustains us all. It seems very obvious, but money can often be a huge distraction, and when we live in an age where we're often ruled by politicians who are excellent at getting elected, really, really good at getting elected, but not very good at thinking, looking at the big picture, perhaps like the First Nations people of America, who made every decision based on how it would affect the seventh generation. A lot of decisions here are made on maximum profit and how we get on at the next election.
We're here to inspire people and to send a message that this is really worth our attention and worth creating a movement and trying to convince the NI Assembly, the government, that there are other options. This is not the only option, and it's crucial that we protect this area.
We want to engage with the public. That's why we're meeting them on Saturday. We want them to come to Toon Bridge and to come to where we've made a camp opposite the Elk on the A6 and come and listen to us on Saturday afternoon. And we want to talk to them and tell them what we know.
We would obviously like to have the end goal to have the whole route rerouted, but we're just trying to raise awareness, and people deserve the right to know the injustice that is occurring.
If you check out it on Facebook, this is called the End to End This under Extinction Rebellion Northern Ireland, or XRNI. And similarly, if you want to read up more on ecocide, then Save Heaney Country, then we have a document there as well. You can read about what's going on.